Biology Nerdside with your hosts, Riley Smith and Joseph Ewing. Unfortunately, Joe will not be with us this week, as he is still off at his cabin. But that is alright. You still have Riley Smith to tour you. Without further ado, here is my Biology Nerdside. Hello and welcome to another edition of Biology Nerdside. Today we will be exploring the backwoods of Elm Creek Park Reserve, looking and learning about the beautiful ecosystems that make Minnesota a lovely place to live and explore. Without further ado, we head to our first ecosystem, the prairie, to meet our dashing host, Riley Smith.
Hello Biology Nerdside. Today on the Nerd Channel we will be exploring another of Minnesota's great ecosystems. Today in Elm Creek Park Reserve I show you the prairie. Characteristic of tall grasses and flowers, it's not what tree nerds like I would enjoy exploring, but it's full of wonderful insects and amphibians and even some reptiles. But today I stumbled upon a mammal who eats some of the rodents among the grasses of the prairie. I have not found the critter, but in there somewhere lived a red fox. Now, I do not have the budget to find it today. I was exploring the forest nearby, and the forest nearby are a jungle, thick with dogwood, buckthorn, and other ferocious thorn bushes. You may have just seen me jump. It was because of this little critter, the leopard frog. Well, he got away, but you get the point. Biology Nerdside, I was earlier showing you the prairie. We still are, but that den earlier was looking rather unmaintained, as you may remember. Well, I may have just found the newest home of our friend the fox. Hopefully he doesn't run out, or we shall really be having a surprise. Somewhere deep in that den is a critter who will be eating your mice and your rabbits and other critters. The foxes are well known for their bright red coats and are well adapted to the Minnesota winters, as they are light enough to run on top of the snow and yet fast enough to catch their prey and have acute hearing, allowing them to catch things such as mice, wolves and other critters. On Biology Nerdside, we found yet more signs of the foxes. This here is fox scat. You can tell because of the hair of rabbit, it appears, among other critters such as mice. Now, I don't believe I'll see the fox today, but that's a good sign of what is here. And now, we begin to explore another ecosystem, as the prairie begins to give way to small trees and shrubs, such as these. Eastern red cedar. Other things, such as slow-growing oak, begin to take over as the cedar begin to fall. But, for now, it becomes an almost impassable barrier, traversed only by the brave few, and by animals such as deer and fox and rabbit, and an occasional snake or bird. We have now begun the transfer into the Minnesota woods. This wood is relatively young, as it was clear-cut less than a century and a half ago. But within it we see some interesting species. As this is near Elm Creek, we have silver maple, some cottonwood even, but we have an even rarer species. The species is one that was frequent throughout Minnesota until the logging of the 1800s nearly wiped them out. What we see above me is the white pine. tall and straight, envied for its lumber. It was cut to build our homes and our boats and other necessities. If we let this woods mature, species such as the cottonwood and the hackberry shall disappear, and this shall be an old growth pine and maple and ash forest. And I have some extremely lovely specimens. Remaining in the younger forest, we see relics of the early successional, such as this red cedar you see. You may notice that most of the lower branches have been killed off, and that is because it is now growing in the woods. The eastern red cedar prefers full sunlight, which is great in this transition from the prairie, but in the young woods, shade is abundant, provided now by these hackberry trees, which has gradually killed off the cedar and has begun the transfer to an old growth. Assumption people often make is that large trees mean old growth, but that is not necessarily the case, especially in a place such as this, with an abundant water source, in this case, Elm Creek. Large trees can grow in as little as 100 to 150 years. For example, this magnificent ash specimen behind me, significantly tall, very large in girth, may have been as young as 150 years of age. This is only possible because of the enriched nutrients that have flown downstream through the Elm Creek. But the nutrient-rich water could also be the tree's downfall. As floodwaters rise, soil can be unstable, and a tall giant such as this ash behind me could topple into the creek, providing nutrients for those trees downstream. However, it also could be a beautiful place for this ash, a tree species which is known to live 300 years or more. Now, we continue our walk back into even more swampier areas, rich in silver maple and box elder. We have now transferred into the lowlands where trees such as silver maple, basswood, and ash thrive. It's made possible by Elm Creek, which carries nutrients downstream that allow trees such as this to grow in less than 150 or 200 years. This large silver maple, despite its girth, does not have significantly strong wood because of its rapid growth. You can also see that the forest floor is dominated by shrubs such as buckthorn and other hardy grasses and shrubs that thrive on the rich peat mud you see here. As stated earlier, these large trees mixed with the wet soil have a tendency of falling. Now this could have been caused by a single windstorm, which caught up the heavy silver maples and dumped them into the creek. What it has provided is this unique ecosystem. This small pond, as you see before me, you may see fish darting about. What those are, if I can show you a good close-up, are baby northern pike. These northern pike are stranded in a small pool created by the root matter that has now vacated with the falling of that giant silver maple. But these northern pike probably cannot indefinitely survive here, for they are stranded in this small pool. Northern pike in the stream would get up to 30 inches long, perhaps, and would feed on other fish, frogs, and eat maybe even small birds if they get large enough. How they ended up in the pool? Well, perhaps there was a flood that carried water into the pool, and along with the water came the eggs. Or perhaps a small bird whose legs caught the eggs of the pike stepped into the pool and carried with them the eggs. We may never know, but it is an interesting phenomenon nonetheless. We have now begun to transfer out of the woods entirely to an area dominated by grasses and cattails and other small plants that could not otherwise thrive in the shade of large trees. Large trees cannot thrive on this area because of mud and other things. You may see this blur on my screen. Believe it or not, it is a dragonfly, which has decided to make my camera its home. See that tail? That is the tail of a red dragonfly, which just took off. Now back to my story. This area is rich in thick peat mud, which one's feet begin to sink into, as you see below. It's also home to a species of American toad and other amphibians that love the moist climate. Trees cannot grow here because their top-heavy mass would tap them into the creek. I have also finally managed to capture something buried in inside. It's not as exciting as a fox. However, this small American toad is part of a large hatch that happened not long ago. You'll notice they come in two different colors in this region. Might be as simple as different soil types, different genetics, and other things. They make this a home because they need moisture in order to survive. Their skin is very transparent, and if it becomes dry, they become sick and shortly dehydrate and then die.